Hello. So welcome to recorderacer.net. It's been a month or two since I created some content. It's been very busy in Pennsylvania, and so I just wanted to start 2024 by going through some of the 10 or 11 most popular questions, also telling you about the Board of Pardons meeting schedule for 2024, as well as some stories that I occasionally hear and review. And so that's what we're going to do. So we're going to start with a section about the top questions that I hear most frequently. And I'm also going to assume that nobody has watched a previous video and has not researched anything. So this is just going to be like fresh answers from the jump about anything related to pardons, expungements, and now record sealing. So question, what is the difference between a pardon and an expungement? Which one do I qualify for? I'm always going to say that in order to answer that, your record has to be researched so that I can see your record as a lawyer, you can see your record and say, yeah, that was me, and then we can tell you what needs to be pardoned and what needs to be expunged. An expungement is a petition filed in the Court of Common Pleas in the county of conviction, and there are specific things that can be expunged, mostly small crimes or things that you were not convicted of, or the ARD program, things of that sort. A pardon is needed for any misdemeanor or felony conviction. It has to be reviewed by the Board of Pardons in Harrisburg, 5 people, and eventually it can make its way to Governor Josh Shapiro, and he's the final vote. He's the 6th out of 6 voters, and if he issues a pardon, then that misdemeanor or felony crime is erased from the Pennsylvania State Police database. All your rights come back as if they had never gone away, and that's what a pardon is needed for. But again, we currently do free record research. If you go to recorderacer.net, fill out first name, last name at the time of the crime, by the way. Anybody that changed their name, I'm much more interested in the name the charges were filed against than your name now. So first name, last name, date of birth, email address, and phone number, and I can research your record. I'll send it to you, tell you which service you need, and quote you a reasonable fee to represent you if you're interested. That's all with no obligation. So that's the difference between a pardon and an expungement. How long does the pardon or expungement process take? Well, expungements take about 3 to 5 months. They're quick in the eyes of the law. This starts with the filing of a petition saying why you're entitled to an expungement, and the court administrator will list it for a hearing and notify the district attorney. The district attorney will take a position either agreeing with the petition, in which case a hearing is not usually necessary, or opposing the petition, in which case we have to send an attorney to do an expungement hearing. That's not usually necessary, but expungement's a 3 to 5 month process. The pardon process is a 2 to 3 year process, so 24 to 36 months, because it has to go through these 5 gatekeepers at the governor's board, and finally the governor, and these people get together every other month or so and review as many applications as they can, but there's quite a few in front of you and there's quite a few after you, and it just takes 2 to 3 years. There's no way to speed it up. You can ask for expedited, but whether a pardon is expedited or not is a decision really made by the Board of Pardons staff in their office procedures. So it can't be sped up. There's nothing you can do to make it go faster. You can't pay anybody any more to have it jump out of line. It just takes 2 to 3 years. Will my criminal record be sealed from public view after the pardon or expungement is granted? What I'm hearing there very specifically with lawyer ears is the word sealed, because the word sealed comes from a statute called Clean Slate 3.0, and sealing hides a record. It does not remove it. Expungements remove a record. The pardon is authority for the state police to remove your record. And so if you file for a pardon and if it's issued by Governor Shapiro, the state police are told to clear their national database, their Pennsylvania database, which everybody else gets their records from, and then your rights come back without need for an additional expungement. So yes, your record will be removed, erased from public view after the pardon. The sealing is not a good thing. It's a temporary measure for misdemeanors that are over 10 years old. It can hide a record from an employer or a landlord, but sealing means that the state police have still kept their part of the record and it's still available to law enforcement agencies, professional licensing agencies. It's still there. The FBI might still report it if they get an appropriate request for information. So sealing doesn't remove it, an expungement does, and a pardon, if it's granted by the governor, should not even need an expungement because it will be obliterated. Do I need a lawyer to assist me with the pardon or expungement process? And if so, how can I find one? Well, it's not really surprising, but that's exactly the kind of work we do at PA Pardon Service, which is actually the shortened name of Pennsylvania Pardon and Expungement Services, LLC, also doing business as Record Eraser. So you do not need a lawyer to file a pardon, but what you do want to do is make sure that a pardon, you only want to ask for it once. You want to make sure you're using all the experience that you can get in line to tell the best story about why the crimes occurred and what you've done with your life since then. So it's my 40 years of experience as an attorney that goes into my pardon applications along with your input. But also somebody can just have a pardon clinic and they can just go out and file pardons. I don't know what they look like. I don't know how well prepared they are. I don't know how they're received or reviewed. But you do not have to be a lawyer to prepare a pardon application. I submit that you need tons of experience to know how to frame your explanation of the crimes and what you've done with your life since then. So that's what I have as experience. Expungements are drafted motions in the county of conviction. They are easier to do if you're a lawyer because, first of all, we can file them electronically. Secondly, we have paralegals that know what the process is, that can coordinate between the judge's staff and court administration and the DA's office to find out if we're really going to have a hearing or not. If a person goes and tries to file their own expungement, which they can do, but I've found over the years that the clerk of courts does not want to give legal advice. They don't really necessarily want to help people file expungements. They just want to take their documents and clock them in and push them around. And so if you show up without an attorney to file your own expungement, first of all, you're going to need a specific number of copies. You're going to need to serve the DA. You might need to serve court admin. You're going to need to be in touch in terms of scheduling and hearings and such not. So you don't have to be an attorney to file an expungement, but they're very difficult to file, and they're easier to file if you do use a lawyer. So that's my answer to that. Are there fees associated with applying for a pardon or an expungement, and if so, how much? So there is no fee associated with the filing of a pardon application. I mean, I charge a legal fee to request court records and get them and copy them and scan them and include them and help draft a pardon application. So I would have a legal fee. The pardon application does not have a filing fee, so nothing needs to be sent to Harrisburg in terms of a fee. When you request court records do typically get a photocopy charge for the number of records. That's paid to the clerk of courts, but those are the only related costs for a pardon. An expungement Usually has a filing fee that ranges between $137 in some counties to $350 in other counties, and it varies by county. So there is a filing fee for the expungements typically. And that's my answer to that. Will a pardon or expungement completely erase my criminal record, or will it still be accessible under certain circumstances? So I'm going to throw another term in there. A pardon will completely erase the criminal record once it's granted by the governor. It'll take the state police about 3 to 5 months to erase their database. So that's a pardon. An expungement would also completely erase the record unless it's a partial expungement. Sometimes a person has things he was not convicted of on the same docket with things he was convicted of. A misdemeanor or felony conviction would need a pardon. Sometimes people file partial expungements to get rid of the charges that you were not convicted of, in which case that part of the record would go away, but the part you were convicted of would still show up. And then there's also record sealing, and record sealing is a way of hiding or sealing certain misdemeanors that are over 10 years old, summary offenses over 5 years old, and actually some low-level felonies after a period of 10 or 12 years as well. Sealing the record will leave a remnant with the state police. Sealing does not remove. Sealing hides. So sealing can hide it from a landlord or an employer. That's a good thing, but it still needs to be pardoned. And so actually in our business, what we find is that we'll find old misdemeanors or felonies that are old enough that they've been sealed, but then we need to get the court records to dig them back out so that we can file a pardon to have the governor forgive the misdemeanor or felony conviction that was sealed or hidden. And in some particular cases, you could have somebody that fills out a form that needs record sealing and a pardon and an expungement. And those are the 3 tools we use in Pennsylvania to clear criminal records. How will having my record cleared through pardon or expungement affect my ability to find employment, housing, or obtain professional licenses? So a pardon will completely clean your record as if it never happened. It will be gone for employment purposes. It will be gone for licensing purposes. It will be completely gone. An expungement will also remove the record entirely if it is a complete expungement. And remember, there's a very limited list of criteria of things that are expungible, which is what we research when we look up your record to tell you what can be cleared and when. But an expungement will completely remove a record. The pardon will completely remove a misdemeanor or a felony conviction. That will enhance your ability to get employment and housing and professional licenses if you get a pardon for any misdemeanor or felony conviction, because it is as if it never happened, and all of your rights come back and your convictions are erased as if they never happened. Now, we are finding that the internet will still keep records about something because they're not getting the official record. They're getting the internet said something back in the day about somebody. I'm talking about official criminal records that the state police keep and how those can be completely removed with a pardon or in some cases an expungement. Someone wanted to know, can I apply for a pardon or expungement if I have multiple offenses on my record? And the answer is yes. Misdemeanor or felony convictions need to be pardoned by the governor before they can be removed. It is not unusual for somebody to have numerous criminal charges in the time of their life when they are making bad decisions or possibly addicted to drugs or alcohol, and a series of events can unfold, as well as the fact that once you get on the police radar as being somebody either with an addiction or homeless or a criminal record, you tend to stay on their radar, and they tend to catch you more frequently. And so, yes, you can have multiple offenses. The determination of what specifically can be removed and when requires this research into what's on the record and an analysis of what can be cleared and when. Pardons for misdemeanor and felony convictions, expungements for other things, record sealing for still other things. So multiple offenses, yes, it's not unusual. If you just have a single criminal event, it probably stands a strong likelihood of getting a pardon because it shows you were in trouble sort of once and didn't get in trouble since then. And then the question is, how long ago was that and what's the explanation for it? So if there is a nonviolent felony that's over 10 years old, it's probably a good candidate. If there's nonviolent misdemeanors over 5 years old, they're probably good candidates. The more criminal convictions you have, I think the board wants to see a longer time period of staying out of trouble. But again, it all determines on the specific case and what's on the record and what can be cleared and when. What steps do I need to take to initiate the pardon or expungement process, and what documents do I need to provide? So this is an easy question to answer, but a difficult question to answer. If people use our services, our law office has been committed to filing pardons and expungements throughout the counties of Pennsylvania. And so we are very familiar with requesting the court records we need and putting together either the expungement packet or the pardon application. So the steps that need to be taken if somebody wants to use our services is to simply get a fee quote, look at the fee quote, tell us when you're ready to move forward, and then we'll start onboarding you as a client of the law firm. And basically you would end up simply answering some questions for us about how the crime occurred back in the day and what you've done with your life since then, which we coach you and guide you through. We review all of your answers and we help to make them the best that they can be to explain the situation then and what you've done with your life now. And if somebody wondered what steps they can take to start an expungement, I already sort of answered that it's easier for an expungement to be done by a lawyer who has paralegals because we're familiar with the process, and I really wouldn't know where to tell somebody to start preparing their own expungement petition, because when you run into some of the language on criminal records, such as OTN, which is the offense tracking number, and the docket numbers, the magisterial level court and the common pleas level court, and the termination or the terminology of some of these crimes and what things are called, it can just be very, very confusing. And so that's sort of like a question of saying, do you think I should remodel my own bathroom? Yeah, you can if you want to, but things might leak, and also I don't know how long it's going to take, and I know that my wife won't let me. So I think the best step you can take is, first of all, to find out exactly what's on your criminal record, which we'll research for you at recorderacer.net. Find out what's on your record, we'll review it to tell you what can be cleared and when, and whether you need record sealing, an expungement, or a pardon, or all three. The final question I've been getting a lot recently is people that have moved out of Pennsylvania and they're living out of state, and so they want to know, do I have to come back to Pennsylvania if you file a pardon for me on something that happened 10, 20 years ago? And the answer is no. Especially since COVID, the Board of Pardons has been doing their reviews on Zoom, and so we can help you get a Zoom account and log in for your review. That's at the end of the 2 to 3 year process. Before that, they'll send you a letter or an email telling you that they want an investigator or an auditor to have a brief phone call with you, and we would prep you for that as well. So the answer is, you won't need to step into a courtroom in Pennsylvania if you file for a pardon. Most expungements do not require you to show up for court either, although there's always specific exceptions in a small court where they want to schedule a hearing instead of just signing the expungement. it's all case by case basis. It's all what needs to be done on a case by case basis. So if you are interested in any of these things, or if you have additional questions, send them to Mark, M-A-R-K, at recorderacer.net, or post it to the various YouTube videos or whatever that we're posting, or call the office at 717-925-7820. And we'll try to answer any questions that we can. Thank you. So, here's some more interesting information for this year, 2024. The Board of Pardons has their hearing dates listed, and I'm going to attach them to a link down below this video, but I also just wanted to mention them and maybe talk a little bit about the difference between them. So this is April 17th, I think, and the Board of Pardons is meeting, the 5 board members and the secretary, as well as various staff people, are meeting for public hearings May 16th and 17th. These are for commutations. Now, a commutation is a pardon application that's filed for somebody that's still serving a sentence. So they're either still incarcerated or they've been released from the prison, but they're on a long period of parole. A commutation is asking the governor to release you from your supervision, whether you're incarcerated or out in public, but still on parole. And so they're going to hold 2 days of hearings, I believe. We'll know more about the schedule closer. But they usually start at 9 o'clock in the morning. They go for a couple of hours. They restart about 1:30 in the afternoon, go for another couple of hours, and they're going to do that, I believe, the 16th and 17th. They will modify their schedule as they get closer to those dates, and we'll, of course, keep you updated. Or you can always go to recorderacer.net and look for the Board of Pardons meeting dates. Now, there are public hearings in June on the 12th, 13th, and 14th. Again, these are going to start at 9 in the morning, and then there's a break for lunch, and then they start again at about 1:30 in the afternoon. They'll go until 5 or so. They will review, I would think, hundreds of cases, June 12th, 13, and 14. They usually do about 20 cases in the morning, 20 in the afternoon, so that's 40 times 3 days. So that's going to give you about 120 cases. And those are pardon applications, so just regular pardon applications for old misdemeanor or felony convictions, not people incarcerated, not people still on parole, but for pardon applications. They are doing a merit review. So the first 2 I talked about were public hearings, which means the Board of Pardons will promote a broadcast that you can actually click on and watch them without interacting. You can just watch them basically broadcast their review of commutations in May and pardons in June. The merit review in July 11th at 9 a.m. A merit review is when the board meets, just the 5 of them with the secretary, and they vote on whether an application that they've all reviewed should go forward to the public hearing. And that's called a merit review. And the goal at the merit review is for you to get at least 2 votes from the 5 board members. And if you get at least 2 votes from the 5 board members, then you're going to be scheduled for a public hearing sometime after that. So that's what the merit reviews are, July 11th at 9 a.m. They usually go pretty quickly because they're just going to be like, board member 1, yes. Board member 2, yes. Board member 3, yes. Board member 4, yes. Board member 5, yes. And then they'll call the next case. So that's going to go pretty quickly. In September, on the 12th and 13th, there are more public hearings for the commutations. So again, for incarcerated people or people that are on extensive parole. And there's a public hearing for pardons, October 8th, 9th, and 10th. And so 9 in the morning and 1-ish in the afternoon, they'll be rolling for 3 days, another 120 cases. They did, I think, 120-ish in January, and I think in February. But even if it was just 3 sessions with 120, they are cruising through 360 cases in a year, possibly even more. So they're really trying to move through this list, and that's all good. So October 8th, 9th, and 10th are public hearings for pardons. There's a merit review November 7th, and that's just to take the vote on who should move forward with a commutation application for incarcerated people or people on parole. And there's a merit review on December 5th at 9 a.m. for people that are in the pardon pipeline to see if they can get 2 out of the 5 votes in favor of them to go forward. If they're voting in December, that would be people that are going to be given public hearings sometime in 2025. So that's their current schedule, and if that changes, we'll keep you posted.